Happy 100th episode, all you Holly weirdos. Can't you believe it? Hollyweird Paranormal turned 100 episodes. Not 100, just 100 episodes. We're not that old. I mean, it is Hollywood. But we wanted to say thank you so much from the bottom of our weird hearts and tell you how much it has meant for us to be behind the mics for you guys, tuning in to our episodes, supporting us. We wanted to say thank you. And as a big thank you, we decided to invite a very special guest with us on this celebration. We wanted to invite Hollywood's own witch, Patti Negri. Patti is considered to be the good witch of Hollywood and a psychic medium, along with being best known for her reoccurring role on the Travel Channel's #1 show, Ghost Adventures. She's the international best-selling author of Old World Magic for the Modern World, tips, tricks, and techniques to balance, empower, and create a life you love. Patti's body of work also includes appearances on the hit YouTube channel TFIL Overnight, A Little Late with Lilly Singh, Basketball Wives, Master Chef, and America's Got Talent. Her list goes on and on and on, by the way. You want to learn a little more about Patti Negri, then you can join Patti for the Witching Hour on My Paranormal Network, where she explores the witch and paranormal lifestyles with interviews from mediums, apothecaries, paranormal investigators like myself, feng shui experts, and so much more. So guys, you already know the drill. Because no joke, Patti is going to take us on a crazy and very weird ride. Here's what I mean. Let me give you an amoosh boosh. We're going to talk about Charlie Chaplin ghosts, his mistress's haunted house, and a cameraman getting caught on fire. Yeah, that happened. Along with the Cecil Hotel hauntings, what she went through during her walkthrough, her experiences on the Overnight channel, and her paranormal journey. So with that said, gather your crystals, your salt lamp, and maybe create a circle of salt. Grab your mugwort because we are about to get Holly Weird with the Hollywood witch, Patti Negri. Hey guys, we wanted to introduce you to a new podcast from Travel Channel called Pop Paranormal. If you're a fan of cult horror classics and the paranormal, then this is your podcast.
We are fans of pop horror classics.
It does look good on us.
It does look good on us. We know our brand. Pop Paranormal is a horror movie podcast hosted by Kara Mahorn and Chuck Collins. They're married and are the geekiest couple you know. And each episode they talk about their favorite horror and paranormal movies. They also include recommendations on cult horror classics, how some of these movies have changed the TV and film landscape, and they include some behind-the-scenes tidbits like how bees have been used in some scenes where you may have thought they were fake.
Candyman?
Cough.
Don't say his name 2 more times.
I refuse to be in a mirror in the dark, so we're fine. It's totally fine.
Speaking about cult horror classics, your girl was in the Halloween episode that they released. This was a fun episode. We talked everything about Michael Myers, Jamie Lee Curtis, and of course, fan conspiracy theories.
Yes. Besides the amazing episodes that they produce, the real gem of this podcast is the chemistry of this amazing couple. They truly have their finger on the pulse of pop culture. They've been doing this for a long time. They know where this industry has been. They know where this genre is going, and they are the taste makers. Kara Mahorn, aka the Blurred Girl, is a culture critic parked at the intersection of pop culture and diversity, which is where I get my bus every morning. Go figure. I love that. It's my favorite intersection. And Chuck Collins is a comic book artist, podcaster, and horror connoisseur. Each week, they dissect their favorite horror and paranormal classics with deep cuts and current faves that have a lasting impact on pop culture.
They're a horror match made in nerd heaven.
Yeah, it's my favorite of all the heavens.
Listen to Pop Paranormal on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm ready to watch a horror film. What about you?
I'm ready to get some popcorn.
All right, guys, we're about to jump into this interview with Patti Negri, who is the
Yes.
Hollywood
So
witch.
sweet.
And we felt that it was the right time, the right
Mm.
guest to do this. And we wanted to touch on our journey towards like the 100th episode. Bryce, what,
Girl.
what was your favorite? Who was your favorite guest or
Oh
episode?
God. Putting me right on the spot. Who did you like and
Minus-
who did you hate?
Let's kiki about this for a second.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just so, I think the main thing is like I'm in shock that like it's been 100 episodes and so many years and through the pandemic and
Exactly.
job transfers and moving and so many things.
A lot of life changes. Absolutely.
Girl, crazy.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
And our first, like, just like kind of fumbling our way through, just being like, I don't know, let's just like try this out.
Exactly.
To be like 100 episodes in is so surreal. Like every time I say it, it's like it doesn't even register. And this is, oh my God, this is the dumbest thing. I have this really specific image in my mind of Sally Field, obviously, because I love Sally Field so much.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on that show Brothers and Sisters.
Yeah.
And they had 100th episode and she's like cutting into the cake. And it was like this time portal. I mean, I'm sure you can find the video, but it's just like all that Sally Field joy of like her winning her Oscar. Like, you like me, you really like, is like bubbling up. And it's very like reminiscent. So it's like her cutting this cake, but you just like, you feel like you're viewing her in like a space outside of time. And that's kind of how I feel. I feel like Sally Field, obviously. But just that it's like, I'm so grateful and it's been so weird and crazy and fun and like hard sometimes. And I don't know, it's been crazy. My favorites, I don't know, that's a good question. Then ironically, and maybe it's just because it's so fresh, the Zachariah the Witch episode that we just recently recorded.
Yes.
Really special. And I'm not just saying this because like he's our friend, although he is, and because he's like such a cool person, although he is, but something alchemical really happened in that episode that felt very beyond just talking about like what had happened and beyond just like us. I don't know, it just felt like a very special episode to me.
Yes.
I don't know, it was just like, that was a really cool episode. I think it was weirdly very special for him as well, because when things happen to you, it's easy to kind of like distance yourself from them. So I think to like share it in such a public way that still felt very personal. I don't know, I hope that he enjoyed it as much as I did, because
he did, absolutely.
I've seen him since, and
yeah,
I don't know, it was just really special. I'm trying to, oh God, I feel like I can like think about who
to
all
me
we've
it hasn't
seen.
felt like, to me it hasn't felt that long. Like I remember somebody having to remind me about our 100th episode. I'm like, oh my God, you're right, we're almost at 100 episodes.
It was when like I started like looking at it and I was like, 96, like
I know. It's
what would you say is like a
insane.
favorite of yours?
Yeah, it was the one with Zachariah. Anything with Zachariah the Witch has been so amazing. I felt like we really developed a great friendship with him.
And he is a person who's so welcoming to all kinds of people.
Absolutely.
So all of the episodes really reflect that he's just so like, if you're a skeptic, if you're a believer, if you're a listener, if you're anywhere on the spectrum, he will meet you where you're at. And I think that's halfway. A rare quality.
Yeah, that's what I love. Anything that had to do with him. Any episode that created a friend for us, like Tanya Mercado. Truly. Tanya, shout out to Tanya Mercado of Ashe Imports. Mac Lytle from Ghost Loop.
That's so funny that I have my little.
You do, Tanya. If you're listening to this,
I know, and my little my Ashe.
Yes, it was so beautiful to have her on and talk about Santeria, and of course our homegirl from Brujas Botanica as well. Like just diving into these different beliefs and meeting new people and seeing
from all over the like
world
and the country, and like getting to talk
absolutely
about like that I've always loved, like Savannah. That I loved that episode. Like I love
Enica.
romantic like idea of Savannah.
Absolutely. That reminds me, shout out to Enica Edenfield, our friend over there in Savannah, and of course Bridget Marcourt. Like we're friends. We are friends episode. With a Playboy Playmate. Girls Next Door star.
It doesn't get better than that.
I know. So I'm trying to get her to be a part of this podcast too, to do a show with us, one episode. So we're working on that.
Dr. Scott and Dr. Shiloh. We're so
my God, we cannot forget about them. Dr. Scott.
2 girls on a bench, and like God, there's just so if we're forgetting it,
so many. But yes, a shout out to LA Not So Confidential.
Yes.
Dr. Scott and Dr. Shiloh. I do miss our brunches. We need to do one again. We do.
Like, our comrades in the podcast trenches, truly.
Absolutely. Speaking of Dr. Shiloh, she is coordinating something for the both of us, Bryce, in regards to our last episode. We might get that chance to go into a haunted house together, Bryce, and I will.
Yes.
I will get a Costco cheese tray for you. Probably for the both of us.
You're gonna have to.
Hungry.
Put it on me like a horse feeding bag. It'll be fine. Just yeah.
But yeah, it's been a wonderful ride, and with all of our listeners, like we read your messages.
I know. Oh yeah, all the listeners' episodes are always my favorites.
The stories, yes,
they're the best. Yeah, I still think about the first one we did and the hike. And
you too.
It rocked me in a way that was like so fundamental to who I am as a person. I was like, oh, I could never hike again. Like I'm not doing that. No. It was.
Who's the old man behind you on top of that hill? What old man? Never mind. Just keep on walking forward.
Nope. Just keep it pumping, sis. Like absolutely not. Yeah. And we've met so many beautiful, amazing people who have become our friends, and
yes,
their stories with us.
Absolutely. I want to give a big shout out to some really good listeners too. They've been chatting and messaging us since the beginning. Connie Moreno, Nathan, Mitchell Ralston, and Erica Shawn. Like, thank you guys so much. Our friend Patrick, thank you guys, like from the bottom of our hearts. Like, we really do appreciate this electronic relationship that we've developed with you all online. It's just I just can't, like, I don't know, I can't picture us not doing this. Like,
it's very surreal, but yeah, we're very lucky and it's very fun, and it's just the craziest little niche that we found.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, here's to 100 more. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where it takes us, and see what happens. So we just wanted to say thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts, and we hope for bigger and better places in the future to go investigate, and
just always pushing forward. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's all we can do. So thank you guys. Now let's get on with this interview with the Hollywood witch, Miss Patti Negri. All right, guys, welcome to our 100th episode of Hollyweird Paranormal Podcast. We are so happy and ecstatic to announce, of course, our special guest, the one and only, the beautiful, the Hollywood witch, Patti Negri. Thank you so much for being on our podcast, Patti.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on for your 100th anniversary. I'm honored and thrilled. And really, I love you, Tammy. You know that. And I'm going to love you, Bryce. So this is awesome.
Fingers crossed.
I'm going to love.
What you see is what you get with Patti, guys. Like, when I first met Patti, she just treats you like she's known you forever. And when she meets you again, she might have a problem remembering your name, but never your face.
Exactly.
I'm the same way.
Were we married once? Yeah, I know.
But that's what I noticed with you, Patti. Like, every time I would meet you again and again and again, it was like I just felt like I've known you for such a long time, and you do treat everybody so well and so nicely, and so you're so sweet, and it's very hard to find that in this community sometimes. So we really do appreciate that.
We must hang together. Yeah,
we do. We should. But guys, we are so excited to have her on, and I know that you guys have been like asking me questions like, can you give us hints? Well, here she is.
So, Patti, what we wanted to talk to you today on our podcast is your spiritual journey too, and how you got involved in your practices and the paranormal. And of course, on travel's #1 show, Ghost Adventures. So,
Yes.
Patti, take it away. Tell us about your, growing up with this special gift and your journey.
Thank you. And again, welcome big time to the Ghost Adventures family. I love what you, hey, my God. Family, we're going to have a reunion.
Just for those who are just listening to, I've just wrapped 2 episodes on Ghost Adventures. So I'm so surprised. And thank you, Patti, for welcoming me into the family.
No, I've known since I could talk that I could see the other side. I knew that those supposed imaginary friends that little kids have weren't all imaginary. Literally, almost cliche, the creatures in the closet and under the bed, I could talk to and get real information. And it just didn't get taught out of me. I think kids really can see, but in our Western non-mystical left brain society, it's always your imaginary friend. But my mom was always like, yeah, grandma did that too. Yeah, grandma could talk to that too. So that on the medium side of things and on the witchy side of things, I would literally be in my little suburban Long Beach backyard, in the backyard, picking rosemary and mint and making these weird concoctions and then stuffing them in my mom's wallet, knowing it would give her more money. And, she didn't really get it. It's like, what are you doing? Dirt, but no, this is money. But then years later, you start studying herbs and the qualities and apothecary. It's like, yeah, I was right. So, and I just had this obsession for the dead. And it was never morbid or dark. I just liked talking to them. There was good ones and bad ones, just like people. So I literally did my first seance. I was 7 or 8 years old, again, in my little suburban home. I went into my hall because there's no windows because it's the middle of the day, stuffed towels under the door. And then I realized, I don't know anybody dead. So I'm like Marilyn Monroe and John Kennedy, anybody who had 8-year-old that way back then knew. And my lightless, windowless hallway. And I raised the veil, how it just kind of happened with sounds and chants. And my, windowless, hallless, filled with orbs and lights and shadows and flying. It was like a discotheque. I ran out screaming with my best friend, Sherry Jones, but at the same time, I was jumping up and down going, this is real and this is controllable. And so I spent my life starting at about 13 studying religion, occult, science, metaphysics of all sorts, regular science, and take it down to the energy that I see. So it doesn't matter what name you put on it. You could use science words or religious words or spirituality words if you see those through lines, because I wasn't raised with any kind of religion. My grandfather was this very famous psychoanalyst, philosopher from Turkey, hung with the Hollywood set big time. And he just thought, he wrote on religion. He was a religious scholar, but thought it was all bull hockey. And it was a weakness. And so I study all these religions and I'm the opposite. I think they all have their truth where he thought they were. But what's funny is as an adult, I read his books and it's like, Grandpa, you kind of believe the same thing I do. You just use academic science words, but the through line is the same energy and what it creates, whatever template you use. So that's how. But as far as becoming this Hollywood person or this television person, no, I really kept it separate because I was an actor. And then when I was too old for Hollywood at 30,
yeah, that's true.
A long time ago. I'm like, well, I got into theater and we were talking, I was running these, I just said, I'll produce my own shows and I'll hire myself. So I ran my production company, Brain Brew Entertainment, for 20 years. And I loved it. And we were really corporate. We did big song and dance extravaganzas, both film and live. I traveled the world literally producing huge shows. But it's like, I just kept that very separate. I'm like, these people, corporate HR, when you could only touch an elbow, they cannot really probably know that I talk to dead people and then I dance around bonfires in a cloak. They probably won't get it. So I kept it really separate. And then in 2008, when that big corporate crash came and corporate entertainment became a dirty word, really, my whole business went shoo, crashing down around me. It's like, if their business is closing, they can't do big extravaganza entertainment and shows and filming. So, and at the same time, reality was moving up. And again, I have a theatrical background. I have a sketch and improv background. It's because my was a very interactive, what they call now immersive background in my production company. And I remember somebody said, Patti, they knew my ability with seances because this was my private world. I was a witch. I was in a coven. I had all this stuff. That we need you to do a seance on a TV show. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. That's my private life. I can't, I won't. As I look at my empty calendar and they go, oh, please, we really need somebody who could do what you do. Nope, I can't. And I'm looking at my empty calendar. I'm like, well, what's the name of the show? And I swear to God, they go, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television. And I go, nobody's going to watch that. Who would watch a show called Mobile Home Disaster on country music television? Okay, I'll do it. And again, little did I know that everybody would watch a show called Mobile Home Disaster. But anyway, I did it. And I was like, it was like, I got to help a human little girl who everybody thought was crazy because she was drawing these vortexes on the ceiling of her motorhome.
Oh my God.
And I go, no, because it's like a vortex. And I'm like, no, there's a vortex there. So I got to help her. I got to help the spirit. I got to all amazing stuff. It's not like acting. I didn't have to memorize anything. They followed me around with 3 cameras. I get to be my legitimate spiritual, magical teach empowerment that how amazing humans are self. And they just follow me around. I go, this is so fun. Oh my God, I love this, but I'm not going to do it anymore. It's fine. That's it. It was great, but no more. And of course it aired in a couple months. And my very first call the next morning was my biggest bank corporate client. And she's like, and I'm like, oh, hi, did not thinking. And she goes, I saw you on TV last night. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh. And my voice gets higher and higher. She goes, I didn't know you were into the paranormal. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like getting what she goes, the paranormal. And she starts telling me about her first ghost encounter. And I'm like, and this is the president of a bank. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm out of the closet. I'm out of the broom closet. I'm out of the psychic medium closet. I mean, I'd much rather teach empowerment and magic and how amazing humans are to anybody out there, whether watching Ghost Adventures or at a Paracon or all my YouTube kids I work with, than the HR department at Microsoft, and teaching, protocol of whatever. It's like, so it just took off. I still have my production company. I do like 1 show a year. I don't have time for it at all.
Yeah, because you've been so busy.
My passion.
Yeah. Right.
Obviously. And we always talk about that, how
always
you slowly start to crack open the hard shell of someone that you don't think might be interested in what you're interested, aka the paranormal. And then once you do, it's like a floodgate of like stories, experiences, and so on and so forth. So that's so cool that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, what am I doing? So yeah, it was just this big eye-opening thing. And it's like,
here we go. And then it just snowballed. It's just snowballed some more and more. And then it led you to one of Travel Channel's most popular shows, Ghost Adventures. So Patti, tell us and your fans, like, how was that? Where did that start?
I honestly, it was just really supposed to be one of those typical one-offs. It was back in 2015, I think. And they were doing a haunted Hollywood, and they were doing the American Legion Hall, and they had heard that I had talked to the ghost of Charlie Chaplin. I'm on the board. I do a lot of nonprofit work. I'm on the board of the Hollywood Arts Council. And for years I do ghost tours, not like here's our paranormal gear.
Right.
It's like, we're dressed like Hollywood fashion. My husband's jazz band plays, and I take them on ghost walks through the Hollywood Tower Apartments or through Hollywood Forever. Or this was, I had done it through the American Legion. Hollywood Athletic Club is fabulously haunted. Again, and again, not going deep in, but just introducing the art world and regular people at a fundraiser to this. But little bit known to me, the guy who ran the place when Ghost Adventure, you know how they do in research, and had said that I had recently been there, and I had pointed out and said, oh my God, I'm talking to Charlie Chaplin in the exact chair that he sat in like every night or every week or something like that.
That is so crazy.
That's all it was really supposed to be. And then I don't know how either they saw all the other stuff I was doing, or they just decided they liked me. It's whenever they needed a seance, or they never needed somebody to walk in and what happened here, what happened there. I love it though, because I'm always scared to death of what if I get nothing? Because I don't know where I'm going ever. And I don't want to. But it's like, go in and you tell us what happened. And it's like, what if I get crickets? What if I get, even at the Cecil, I didn't know. I mean, Zach had called me a couple weeks before. He said, we're coming to LA and we need you. Okay. Didn't hear anything, normal. 2 weeks later, I get this call from him, and it's Zach. He goes, can you be here in 2 hours? I'm like, 2 hours? My God, do I have time to brush my hair? Do I have my makeup on? I'm a girl. I was like, shh, okay. And he gave me an address. He didn't tell me it was a Cecil. I get there and it's like Skid Row. And I'm like, oh wait, that's the water tower, girl. But that's it. And once a rat let me in who didn't want to let me in, it was like crazy. I don't want to get all left brainy about stuff. So I don't want to know for the medium stuff, because then I'd start going, there's supposed to be a murder over here. So,
yes.
But it's always an adventure.
That's so true. I remember you telling me that they would call you at the last minute. You're like, okay, I guess I got to go jump in a plane an hour and meet them in Nevada, or meet them, in Arizona, which is so crazy. And you've been extremely busy recently, because not only have you been appearing on Ghost Adventures, now you're appearing on these #1 paranormal channels on YouTube. You are TFIL's #1 go-to psychic. So tell us about that experience. Yeah, the overnight channel.
Well, they're great. I love working network. I just got to work with Jack Osborne and Katrina Weidman for the first time on For Hell. I've worked lots and lots of non-paranormal shows where I'm the paranormal person that's on there, from like Bad Girls Club to whatever. But the YouTubers, the thing is, #1, they have more money. Just saying.
Wow.
That is true.
It is. It is true. It's like, now, Travel Channel stuffs you on Southwest, and they fly you private. It's like,
YouTubers have a lot of paper, and they have a lot of like endorsement deals. And
when I went, and again, and I like the kind of no rules. It's kind of like independent theater, because when I did 2 nights, like go back to the Cecil with Ghost Adventures, and I'm like, I would like to go to the roof. We can't go to the roof because the fire marshal's not here. He already left for the day. So you just can't. So when I got there at TFIL, we did it. I go, I'd sure like to go to the roof, but is there fire marshal here? And they just laugh. They go, what fire marshal? We don't use a fire marshal. No,
we don't have real cameras. They're fake ones. Yep.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. So Patti, tell us about your experience at the Cecil, because this has been something that, we've covered too in the past, and people who have visited and read the Cecil, others want to know like what they picked up. And in your opinion, what did you pick up there?
It is like the darkest place. It is.
Wow.
It makes you want to kill yourself. It makes you, the depression it puts you, even like that first time I didn't know where I was going at the Ghost Adventures. The rat wouldn't let me in. Literally. It was like, usually they scurry in front of you and they scurry up. This one, I'd go right and the rat would go right. I'd go left. I'm like, are you protecting me or haunting me?
Oh
but
my
I get
gosh.
in, and as I'm walking in, I allow to go into trance state, and I'm getting more and more depressed and hopeless. And I'm walking in the door, and then Zach's like, okay, let's go. I'm like, and they were already strapped in. They'd been there for hours. And he goes, all right, Patti, there's 700 rooms. They're all unlocked. There's 14 floors. You tell us where to go. So I pushed a button. I'm like, oh, I'm in that elevator, that Alyssa. So I pushed a button, and I took him right. And I'm getting more and more depressed. And I took him to this room. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. And I walked to a window, and I opened the window, and I'm in a trance state. And Zach's like yelling at me. He's like going, what are you doing? Close the window. Why are you over the window? And in my half trance state, which is kind of like a dream state, I'm like, why is he yelling at me? Zach never yelled at me. That's so weird. I'm like, I just got to get out of here. And I'm opening a window. And he's like, close the window. And I'm like, sit down. I'm like, I just got to. And little beknownst to me, out of the 700 rooms, I led them to a room where somebody had jumped out that exact window.
Oh my
And
God.
they've got an SLS camera dancing on my head and me going, I got to get out of here, opening the window.
Oh my
So I was like,
God.
okay, let's leave. So then I led him to another room. And this was pretty funny too. It's like, all of a sudden I felt being attacked and I'm like holding myself. And again, I'm 80% trance state and the 10, 20% of me that's still Patti going, you are on network television. And Zach's going, where are you being attacked? Where are you being attacked? And the part of me still conscious going, how do you say that body part on television? I don't know what I said, lady parts or female parts, something like that. And little beknownst to me, again, I led him right to a room where this woman who fed the birds every day was like raped and murdered in that room.
Oh my
we
God.
got so much other stuff in that. Hallways were dark and crazy, so it just makes you depressed. And especially because it's been like a flop house since it was built. It was built and the Depression hit, and it's always been lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, lots of depressed people, and that's what gets you. So when I went back with the overnight guys, I would same kind of, we got to go to the roof. We did a seance on the roof.
Wow.
We
That
opened
is
a big box from the Conjuring house on the, and it's like with kids, we're running around chasing, but I was in a hallway because there's so many spirits in the hall and there's something dark holding them in. And I thought I was channeling because again, it's kind of dream state. And I rock. I always rock. And I'm rocking back and forth. I'm rocking so hard that one of the guys had to put their hand behind my head. And I'm talking. I thought I was talking. All they heard was gibberish. I didn't know it. And they're just like, and Corey, who I've been working with, who's really intuitive, he said, Steph, he goes, we should play that backwards. They played it backwards and I was talking English backwards. I was like,
oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God, should I put that on my resume? I can't even spell backwards. I can't even, like if I got pulled over for drinking and driving and they said, do the alphabet backwards.
Oh, same.
Take me in. I can't, my mind won't do that ZXY. I couldn't. And I'm like, yeah, that place, it just makes you depressed. And the thing that's phasing me out now, and you guys are going to show up if we do it, now concept good. They're moving in homeless people. They're moving in chapter 8, people who can't afford it.
Yeah.
But they're already walking zombies. I've bribed my way in recently. And they're already ambulances in front. They're going to OD. And again, the people that are most affected, the concept is great. 700 empty rooms for people who don't have a home.
Right.
But I want to clear it. I want to bring together every healer, rabbi, priest, witch, shaman, Native American, everything I can, and do big old kumbaya, hold hands around and bless the place. I do. I really do.
That place needs a lot of love. I know as cheesy as it sounds, like it needs love because that has seen nothing but pain and horror and heartbreak. And
always, babies thrown over the roof here. It's like, and I have, there's some, again, funky downtown area. There's this beautiful apartment building across the street. There's one guy that YouTubes, but I was clearing a house, a woman, I mean, it oozes up from the street. It's not just the Cecil, everything around there, whether it's grid lines or the water underneath or Native American, who knows what it is.
Wow.
It's icky.
It's very icky around there. You could feel it even outside. It's very intense.
Yeah.
I can't even, and I've never seen you like that in any other show. But when I saw you walking through and doing your doing your rock throughs around the Cecil, I've never seen you in that trance before in any other episode, which was so interesting. But yeah, even Zachariah the Witch, who is our mutual friend, I mean, he even mentioned the same thing too. He's like, it is just, it's a lot of energy there. It's a lot of bad, icky energy.
Something has been created, like, because so much sadness, depression, badness, another spirit has been self-created, like an egregore, a servitor, a tulpa, or something has been created and holding everything in.
Oh yeah, because it's now hyped. Everybody comes in and they're bringing their own energy into it. All these other investigators and urban explorers, they're doing the same thing. So yeah, I can imagine something being created from us, you know, bringing
Yeah.
that in. So that's very interesting to look into further. Patti, we have a mutual friend that is of the spiritual Charlie Chaplin. We talked about this on your show.
That old so-and-so.
I know
Yeah.
about our former job, this old Hollywood school that actually has his bungalows, and next door is his former studios. But you've been in communication with him. How is Charlie doing? And when was the last time you guys talked?
It's been a while. Again, because I live in the hills and he built, you had his bungalows. He built several different houses, little apartment buildings for starlets, lots of girlfriends, whatever. He was like a real estate mogul. But yeah, besides the time and when I first did it from the Arts Council, and then where he was a club, and he was kicked out of the club. He was kicked out of the American Legion when the communist scare was.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so he was accused of being whatever and kicked out. So he was just really happy to be back. In death. He wasn't kicked out anymore. And then my scary one was the one I was at a house he built right in my neighborhood, built by him for one of his girlfriends, Mary Astor. A party house, big party house. When you get lots of dark stuff coming in, too much drugs and alcohol, you're going to pull in dark stuff. But a party house forever. And then the Rolling Stones manager moved in, so the Rolling Stones stayed there. Graham Parsons and Mamas and Papas.
Wow.
All sorts of people. They moved out. And then the guy who invented the real life sex doll moved in for a while. He said it was too scary for him. Beautiful, real life. And then he moved out. And then my neighbor for 7 years, Marilyn Manson, moved in. And it got too scary for Marilyn after something happened with his girlfriend. Moved to the valley. It's like, oh gosh, you're too scary for Marilyn Manson. And he would do recording in the dirt basement, always the dirt basement,
Yeah, it's up.
So, but that's my one seance. Always, anywhere from the Souden house, the Black Dahlia house, to Goofy David Omen's house, to that dirt basement.
Oh, speaking of our friend David Omen, another mutual friend.
Mutual friend.
I will never forget. We were there, I think on one of the anniversaries. This was like in 2019, 2020 during the pandemic. It was you, I, and I think it's Stephen or Stefan Brigatti, another a phenomenal paranormal investigator too. But I remember you said something so eerie. You were walking up and down the street, and you come back, and you told me and David, you're like, yeah, I'm seeing one of the members walking up and down, and you saw this I can't remember who it was. It was one of the women in prison who passed away, and now like her spirit or something, like it was either her spirit or a residual of her walking up and down, and you kept on seeing her just like kind of like roaming up and down that street, and you just like noticed the hair and the clothes that she was wearing, which I found so fascinating but eerie at the same time.
I know
eerie anniversary.
And you wonder if she's going, did I screw up my life majorly doing that? Or, it's like, you wonder what she thinks,
Yes. What is your take on the David Omen house? Do you think that the spirits haven't moved on, or they just like to take their time and they just linger?
I think they like to hang out there. I think he needs to sometimes pull back a little.
Yes.
Because I almost think like, is this ghost abuse? So every once in a while, just like, leave him alone a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Cameras everywhere. But I think they like him. He's got such crazy energy, as we know. Crazy energy. I think they're going to feed off that, just like they feed off anger and they feed off fear. They're going to feed off that weird enthusiasm. Same thing.
Right. Exactly. But I remember that seance was a little crazy with you, me, and Stefan. I think we even made contact with Stephen Parent there. He made an appearance at one point, and I think he was kind of the one fiddling with my hair. I was like, something's happening. Someone's touching me.
You always have great hair, Tammy. So it's like,
Patti, have you ever been in a position or a situation where you're like, I'm really scared, I don't know what to do? Was that the Cecil, or was that another another location?
Well, the at the Charlie Chaplin house when the cameraman burst into flames, I was really scared.
What?
I mean,
Are you serious?
I swear to God.
What happened?
And it's
Oh, tell
on
us.
camera. Okay, so we
Give
were at
us the
that
tea.
Charlie Chaplin house.
Okay.
And not even getting Charlie Chaplin. We didn't want to talk to him. We want to talk to Mary Astor. And it was young people, and young people have strong life force. If you're post puberty, but not too far into 20s, you have a lot of life force. And I always say it's okay to be skeptical, but you have to be respectful. You know how we would. You have to be respectful. And it was a documentary called the Mary Astor House. And there was young people, and this one kid, I set up my boundaries and how I was doing it. He was getting disrespectful. So first something really cool happened. Literally the French doors in this little 1920s, 4 level. It looks like it was built by Masons. It's like, oh, 12 windows here. Oh, there's a compass drawn in the floor. Literally. Oh, there's 4 levels there. But he said something really stupid and the French doors flew open. Everybody's screaming and the cameras caught it. And I'm calming it down, and there's one ghost just getting cranky. Not a demon. I think demons get way too much credit. I think it's usually just cranky.
I know we're building up on their ego a little too much.
Yeah, way too much. Again, so that happened again, and then he said something other stupid, and there was like a record player and a speaker on the floor, and the speaker on the floor came on white noise, almost sounded like a spirit box. Just it did that twice. We looked later; it wasn't even plugged in. But this energy is building, and I'm trying to keep a hold on it. But it's like, this is what they wanted. It's not like one of my paid private seances where I keep everything all light and fluffy. This is what they were going. So, but he said, we were talking about, I think, the dirt basement. We're using a Ouija board, which I've used safely since I was 8. But he said something really stupid, and not him, but the cameraman facing him burst into flames. He was not standing in front of a fireplace. He was not standing in front of a candle. 2 cameras caught it. One camera started filming the ceiling or filming the floor. You do test the metal of a camera person by a small room with a lot of people bursting into flames. And the poor cameraman facing away and wonder why everybody's screaming and pointing at him. And me, cool witch medium Patty becomes medic Patty. And I'm an EMT. I'm certified cardiologist tech. I am all that. And I'm drop and roll. And I'm calling in my protectors and my guardians like, this is not okay. We're done shutting the veil. I don't care what we're filming. This is not okay. No one burst into flames on my watch. I'm like, oh my God. And his shirt burned off him like it was synthetic, like a nylon or polyester, but it was cotton. And I'm in a V, like angel wings of fire. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to killing somebody right now with spontaneous combustion, like Spinal Tap. Oh, I'm very good. And, but the guy who caught on fire was a super skeptic and a filmmaker. He was so intrigued. He's like, I'm okay. I'm like, you're not okay. There's like 2nd degree. I'm okay. No, you're not okay. I've got a sweater. I could take this shirt off. I talked to the spirit and basically, please, we're not even going to get rid of you. This is your house. We know it. I'm not going to do what I normally do.
Whoa.
The kid I knew was going to be really well behaved because he would be the new choir boy in the corner. Not another word. It's like, yeah. Now we're respectful.
That's what they want.
So yeah, we finished the seance. We got into more crazy stuff that I've never seen anywhere since. Like a glass from 8 feet flew out of a cupboard and smashed past us. Not even that wasn't even on camera. That was after. I'm like, wow. But we got so much of it on camera. But the coolest thing about that was, and this is what makes it turns into a happy story, is the cameraman who was super skeptic. 3 weeks later, he showed me his back where he was blistered. He goes, Patty, look at how this is healing. And you guys, it totally looked like he had a dragon tattoo on his back. Open mouth, sharp teeth, winged head into the shape of a serpent. And that is the exact energy I called in to shut down the seance. I work dragon magic. I work scary, huh? I work dragon energy. It's crossroads energy. And I'm looking at his back and I'm like, oh my God, you have a tramp stamp of a dragon on his back. That is about the coolest thing I have ever seen. And he thought so too. So he actually, but I had to make him a mojo bag. I had to make him, but he actually wrote a script about this TV medium, TV psychic who does every TV show, and then a portal gets opened, and it's funny and scary. What I like, he wrote it with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series. They haven't done it yet because they're so damn busy. But I did, and I think people need to watch who film everything we film. I sat down with him for. It's called The Portal if they ever do it. I hope somebody fabulous plays me. But but I sat down with him for 5 hours. I'm like, Lauren, his name's Laurent Malachi. I go, you can't say that on camera. He goes, you said it. I go, I know I said it. That opens a portal. That calls in something.
Wow.
You don't want to be one of those cursed horror films, do you? Because it happens all the time. A spirit and energy, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't know the difference of an actor or especially a method actor reading a script of Ula Sante Ata, doesn't know the difference.
Wow.
So you don't want to be one of those cursed, where all the actors die at 27 or get in a car accident. It's like,
I mean, that is true. I mean,
it is true.
We talked about this too, but actors are conduits. Like they're demanding energy and conjuring energy. And I mean, we're
like psychics are the same.
Exactly.
Truly.
Exactly. Right brain, intuitive, in touch with that world.
Exactly.
So yeah, if they ever do it, no one will get cursed. But yeah, I know, don't say that. So we made up a word that sounds just as scary, but won't open a portal to hell.
Oh, that's good. Thank God. Patti, how do you prepare yourself before an investigation, and how do you cleanse yourself after an investigation?
I work with a lot of herbs, and I work with a lot of oils. I really do. I work with a lot of sigils and symbols. My favorite sigil is Helm of Aa. It's Norwegian. It's a rune, that 8-sided cross. To me, it gets rid of anything and everything. I draw them all over. It's a simple 8-sided cross with a little, like a Neptune trident on the end, and 3. It keeps it's got these protectors around it, and it breaks up, like, to me, it's like energy, like an atomic bomb. I close down mirrors with it. I have one, if we go upstairs to my entry hall, I have one tucked on, I post it under my welcome mug.
Wow.
It keeps out bad spirits and burglars.
Whoa.
I'm the biggest, so that I always, you could do oil in lots of places, but I always teach people the biggest portal on our body is right here behind our head, where our head and neck go together. Here's our this is all our crown of illumination, eyes here, our 6 sensors. But back here, the one is where you, like, when you pray, you bow your head to open it up for spirit, for God. So protect that. Either open it up for spirit, but don't open it up to let spirit in. So I always use protective oils. Or if somebody doesn't have oil, shut that down right there. See it, talk to them from this portal, not this portal. You don't want to let them in. Unless you know what you're doing.
I remember we did that at the Dearly Departed Museum. That's right. You had that oil, and we all put it in the back. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna put it." No, you're like, "No, put it in the back."
Back here.
Back there.
And the part that goes up and down like this. That's again when you go, God, woo! But you don't want it to spirit you don't know.
Now we could segue into the Dearly Departed Museum. We made that investigation. Yes, I remember Bryce was supposed to go.
Sweet. I know, yeah.
And he was like, I think I have work, but I think he was really scared.
I've never been scared in my life. How dare you?
Ever?
But it was such a great team, and it was such a great energy there. It was you, me, and Bridget Marcourt and Shayna Mopler. Yeah. And we ventured into that museum before it closed down, because unfortunately Scott Michaels was like, no, I think it had its time. It made its debut, but now it's time to put it to rest, and it could do a reprise some other time somewhere, but not right now. But oh my God, the amount of things Scott Michaels had in that museum. He had cremation remains of a famous actor. It's on the tip of my mind right now, but he is very infamous for having a ginormous piece of memorabilia from a movie star from Jane Mansfield, and he had the Jane Mansfield death car. But Patti, can you tell everyone what you felt or saw in that museum when we did our investigation?
It was crazy. It was a party because he has so much dark stuff.
It was a party. Yes, it felt like
there's
that.
Sharon Tate's dress and there's the Jane Mansfield car. So a lot of tragedy. But it was so strong. But that's really, Tammy, where I actually fell in love with you as an investigator. It's like, oh, she's so serious. She's so good. I love that. That's it's like, because you guided us. You were,
Really,
you know,
yeah.
I meant to be going over here. There's a thing, but you're like, you had it down.
Oh, thank you. Well, you were just your energy too. Like it just, I was very nervous that night. So by the way, but you were just like, oh no, yes, let's go here. Let's go there. I'm being called to here. And I think when we hit that area with the Jane Mansfield death car, there were other pieces of things from like crash sites, like from the Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, Big Bopper crash site. And then there was the Patsy Cline, crash site that he had like rocks and I think a hanger from that area. But we were picking up on so much. I think Patsy Cline made a debut, and Patsy Cline even made her debut after I left. Like she, out of nowhere, my phone, I kid you not, started playing Back in Baby's Arms.
Wow.
Before I went to, it was crazy. Because I know who Patsy Cline is. I've never had searched her music, nor do I have it on my phone, but it just started playing that one night. I was like, okay, I got it. Thank you. Let me sleep.
Yeah. That is don't you guys know spirits how much they are learning to use technology? It's
absolutely absolutely. That is something
I got a call. It's a couple of years ago now. From my husband's best friend, his keyboard player, who'd been dead 5 years. And I'm like,
wow.
It said call from David Coleman. I'm like,
stop
I'm
it.
thinking, no. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe his wife kept the number. You would change that. Maybe I'm like, hello. And there was nobody there. Called back, disconnected, talked to her, hadn't been in years. Call from David Coleman right there on my little screen. I think I took a screenshot of it.
Wow.
This is energy, just like we have K2 meters and ghost meters and SLS. They're figuring it out all themselves.
That is so true. Scott Rogo wrote a book called Phone Calls from the Dead, I think in the 80s, and it's actual accounts from people who have received, and this is before cell phones. Like this is, I think, old-fashioned phones, the ring tower, like the dial. And but there have been hundreds of accounts of people who have received phone calls from their past loved ones. And I think there was even a recent article in that horrific accident of the condominium, that the building that fell in Florida. People were still getting phone calls from people who perished within that building too. It goes to show you. And Patty has proof, like, no, that's a thing that happens.
That's a thing. Yeah. Because in my experience, spending so much time on the other side, there is no time and space on the other side. So the calling up from if it could be pre, post, middle, it's hard for our little human brains to not go with time and space. But if you think about it, that makes all sorts of things possible.
Truly. That is so true. That is so true. Well, Patty, this has been such an amazing time with you and chatting with you. And we're just so excited that you were our guest on our 100th episode. And we hope that we get to investigate with you one day.
Yes, we have to. We have to. We're working on something. We are going to. We're going to. I'm going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen.
Yes. Absolutely. So what is next for you in the pipeline? Like, it seems like you are just on the go. You're a witch that hustles in Hollywood.
I'm the hardest working witch in Hollywood.
You are. You truly are.
No, I've got I just filmed some stuff with the Overnight guys that should be out pretty soon. Pretty amazing. I can't talk about that yet.
Of course.
I'm getting ready to I'm home for a little while because I was on the road at least twice a month all last year, and every single week's from August. It's like Chicago, I'm home, in Massachusetts, and then come home, and then in Texas, and then come home.
It's exhausting,
but fun. I always said that's what I wanted. So exhausting, but you sleep on the plane. So that all starts again in February. I think I've got I'm going back to Australia. I've got a Dark Waters Paranormal cruise to the Caribbean if anybody wants to go.
Wow.
Great chasers and a bunch of people going. And then I'm doing a real witchy. I did last year Ireland and UK. I'm doing an even more witchy Ireland tour for Beltane for May 1st with the Fires of Ireland. So that's coming up. And
Oh my God.
Wow.
When I grow
Yeah.
up, when Bryce and I grow
Yeah,
up, we
right
want
now.
to be
yeah,
we want to be like you. We want to be
Yeah,
like
be
you. We
me.
just want to travel to Ireland.
Truly.
Bryce is like
know.
maybe minus the ghost, but
I'm very Irish. That's like the only thing I have. So it's
Oh, you guys,
perfect.
you got to go to Ireland. I had never been
absolutely.
before because the fairies.
that's right. They have like the belief in the fairies, the cash. Are they the ones with the castles too?
They
Or
have,
is that-
yes, I did. Mine was the one I did last year. This one's going to be really witchy. That one was called the Game of Thrones tour. We
Oh
went
my
to
gosh.
all those castles from the year
Oh,
1200 you
sure.
saw in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And we'd be there going, I remember this, Sans the Dragons. But I would be doing rituals and seances and magic. And we went to a literal fairy farm. Had the sheep, you had to have sheep, lots of sheep, thousands of sheep. And then they had the fairies turned me around. There was this fairy tree and it literally was like a psychedelic experience without psychedelics.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, I'm in this other world. And then I walked out and I'm like, I'm so grateful. Literally most beautiful green and most green you've ever seen. The left of me was this beautiful
Wow.
white stallion, a real white stallion. To the right of me was this beautiful cow. In front of me were the 20 people from the tour. I'm like, okay, horse, cow, people.
People,
I'm so lucky.
fairies.
I closed my eyes. I opened my eyes and the people were gone and the horse was on my right and the cow was on my left. I'm like,
Whoa.
none of them had moved. The fairies had turned me around 180 degrees without me
Wow.
knowing. I
my
not moving my
gosh.
feet.
That is insane. Because I remember, I know like Iceland has, is it the fairies? It's
They have-
fairies, right?
Or elves or gnomes
Or elves or something like
and
that.
lots of elementals need to we need to take care of our planet. So people
Yeah.
who are maybe even just new age or paranormal and not in the elemental world. I remember even when Chris Fleming, he's like, I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
a gnome. Gnomes are real. Yeah, they are, because we need to get
Wow.
our eyes back on our little planet here.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The etymology of a gnome is spirit of the earth. So it makes a lot of sense why, they are lingering around more and more. There's been a lot more sightings recently. And yes, oh my God, Chris is one to, he's all about elementals and gnomes and ancients and
Now,
fairies.
where he wasn't. Yeah.
So Patty, where can people find you and follow you and your great adventures?
Please do. Yes, everywhere. PattiNegri.com is my website. Really, PattiNegri.com, because then you can get to Facebook, of course. Patti Negri Psychic Medium, the one without the slash is the real one. It's verified. Finally, I'm on Instagram. Patti.Negri is the real one. Twitter. Just crazy Twitter, TikTok, Patti Negri basically, or some form, but you can get to the real ones via my website, Patti, and I have a YouTube page with lots of information. My podcast, which Tammy just did, and she's fabulous, airing now. It's called The Witching Hour. It drops every Monday, and now we added another thing, which Rob and I were talking about having you a guest. On Wednesdays we do a live just on YouTube and Facebook called The Witches Movie Coven.
Oh. Yes.
We talk all things movie, from Harry Potter to the witches to good and bad and everything. And we have the Black Phillip Society. Watch movies deliciously. So I'm with Heather Green, who wrote the ultimate book on witches and movies. So we have that. So I'm everywhere. My school, I have paraflix.com if you want to learn mediumship skills. I have over 20 teachers, all of different belief systems and faiths. From
Patty, is there something in the back of your neck that says off? Like, do you ever turn off? You're like, no, I can't. No, we're not going to do that.
I mean, that's University Magic. Did I say Paraflix? Paraflix is my streaming service.
Right.
But my school is University Magicus. Real life Hogwarts is exactly what I say. So I'm everywhere. Bathroom walls across America. But lead into from my website, Patti.
That's the truest kind of magic.
I know that really is. You just said it right there.
Wall, it's true.
It's true.
Every airport, every old haunted place, every brothel, every bar.
every brothel and every bar.
They're all haunted, theater.
Truly. Every theater, truly.
Patti, we got to have you back because you're just.
I would
such a
love
hoot.
to. You guys are too fun.
You're fun as well. Thank you once
thanks.
again, Patti, for being our guest. We really do appreciate it. Our 100th episode, Bryce. Can't you believe it? With
No,
the
it's
Hollywood
literally
Witch. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Patti. And thank you to all of our listeners who
Yes.
participated and listened and supported us. We really do appreciate you guys 100%. We hope that you all stay Hollyweird along with Patti and you follow her and her adventures. And there's more to come. Bryce, do you have anything you want to say?
To 100 more.
To 100 more. Yes. Thank you, Patti. Bye.
Once again, another big thank you to our friend and special guest, Patti Negri. Guys, be sure to follow her on her socials and follow her next upcoming mystic journeys. She's so busy. We just can't keep up with her. Like, seriously, we can't. But most of all, we want to say a big thank you to you, our listeners, our Holly weirdos. Without you guys, we wouldn't meet behind these mics. We wouldn't talk about ghosts and hauntings and share your crazy listeners' tales. We just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of our weird hearts. Thank you so much, because Hollyweird Paranormal wouldn't be Hollyweird Paranormal without you weirdos. And we just wanted to say that without crying. So here we are. Once again, please follow us on our socials at Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us at Hollyweird Paranormal, and on Twitter at HWP Podcast. We are gearing up for a new episode of Listener's Tales. We need your stories, we need your ghosts, and Bryce needs a good scare. So where do you send these stories? Well, you can send them to hollyweirdparanormal@gmail.com. You can send them in an audio or an email format. Either way, we want to listen to them, we want to read them, and we want to get scared. So please send them over for another episode of Listener's Tales. We love doing those episodes. And if you want to learn a little more about the podcast and your co-hosts, myself and Bryce, you can head on over to www.hollyweirdparanormal.com and get caught up in past episodes and seasons, browse our merch store, and even learn how to become a Patreon member. So for as little as $1 or more per month, you can be a Hollyweird Patreon member. You can help the podcast for however many months you wish to donate. And a little does go a long way, but we definitely want to spoil you. So we will spoil you in gifts of stickers, coasters, magnets, pins, and of course, access to our secret podcast society, Saturday Night Ghost Club, where we collect ghost stories from people off the streets, our acquaintances and friends, put them in a nice, sweet, creepy package of a podcast episode where you can literally listen to them anywhere, anytime, any place. They're super scary, and they're definitely going to make you stock up more on salt, or probably make you want to lick your salt lamp, because they're pretty creepy and they're actually really fun. So we want to give that extra bonus to our members, of course. And if you have a couple more minutes, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review our podcast. Hopefully a 5-star rating. We love you for it. We are independent podcasters, not professionals. I mean, what was the dead giveaway? But it helps us become a little more visible, and it will just help catapult our podcast a little more. So we hope that you all have a wonderful holiday. Please stay tuned for another episode. And thank you guys so much for allowing us to deliver 100 episodes. Just always remember to stay Hollyweird and take care of yourselves. Till next time, friends.